Today, we are joined by a truly special guest, someone who has chosen a path of deep purpose and service. Please welcome Cathy, a certified sophrologist who has dedicated her career to helping people find balance, calm, and clarity in the midst of chaos. For Cathy, sophrology isn't just her profession, it was her calling. For someone who doesn't know about it before, what exactly is sophrology? How did it evolve from its root from what is it today?
Sophrology, that's a technique that enables you to regulate your stress, regulate your emotions anytime, anywhere. So basically, you can learn techniques. It's based on visualization, it's based on movement, breathing, discussion, thoughts reframing, but all of that combined in a very specific way, targeted to what you are usually experiencing that is challenging in your own life. You are taking all of those different techniques, you combine them in a way that you know exactly what's the roadmap for you whenever you are in a challenging moment to go back to a more calm, centered, composed presence.
Interesting.
Okay? So for everyone, this is completely different. So if you ask me, can you give like one technique that's going to be useful like for everyone, that's going to work for everyone? I wish that I had that answer. I don't have that answer. I can never really preempt how the technique is going to work. But what I do know is that I know hundreds of techniques. And with what everyone is bringing during the session, I will always think in the back of my mind, combining all the different techniques in a specific way, teach it to the person, and then tell the person exactly that sequence. You can use it when you wake up in the morning or whenever you have an appointment that is very important, whenever you have a high stakes moment, when you go back home and you feel so tired and you have to be present for your kids, or before you go to sleep, for instance, I would tell you how you can use that technique, when and where. And this is why this is very different from any sort of apps or other techniques as well. I'm not saying this is better or worse, but this is just very different. It's really bespoke, it's tailored, it's I don't know if I can say haute couture, maybe not, but in my mind, this is how I tailor, I design every session for every person.
Understood.
Yeah.
How did it evolve?
How did it evolve? Yeah. It was created in the 60s, right? 1960s, from a neuropsychiatrist. His name was Cathy Jeroudi. So he was living in Spain, He was living in space. That would be beautiful. He's in space now because he's no longer with us, but he was living in Spain.
Okay.
Was living in Spain, neuropsychiatrist, and he would observe in the wards that a lot of people, they had symptoms, and he wanted to teach them techniques, ways for them to be able to manage their own stress, their own challenging moments on their own. Not only waiting for everyone around, all the doctors, to tell them what to do, but he wanted to give them something so they could practice.
Understood.
So they would feel, they would reclaim who they are in the midst of the illness, in the midst of those challenging moments. So this was kind of his idea, and sophrology means the study of consciousness in balance.
Okay.
All right, sophrology is the study of consciousness in balance. And Cathy Jeroudi, he spent 60 years of his life traveling and studying hundreds, and perhaps more techniques to understand how the consciousness works and how we can expand consciousness in a way. So here, there is nothing related to religion or spirituality or energy, or, you know, when I say consciousness, this is really from a psychological standpoint, if you want.
Understood.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it originated here in the 1960s. Sophrology was created, and So there's a bit of breathing, yoga, psychology, neuropsychology as well. There's a bit of hypnotherapy. There's many techniques that have been understood and combined in a way that gave birth to sophrology. All right. This was at the beginning, and it was used in hospitals. Then it got used in so many other places. So it has evolved, and I'm not going to go through the whole history of sophrology, but what is important is that today sophrology is being used in corporates, for employees, for managers. It's being used in universities, in schools, when you need to prepare for exams, for instance, when you're under pressure.
Yeah.
It's still being used in hospitals, in oncology centers, in the most renowned centers in the world, in Europe. Gustave Roussy, Institut Marie Curie, they are offering sophrology sessions to their patients. You can find it in private practices and even at the Olympic Games. So I had read that data that apparently 248 Olympic medals were won with a sophrology mental preparation.
Okay.
If you go to France, a lot of people, they're very familiar with sophrology. It's kind of everywhere. 20% of the population in France, they have practiced sophrology already. That's more than, let me do the calculation, I think 11 or 12 million people.
Okay.
Right? Practicing sophrology in France. Over here in the UAE, this is just nascent.
Okay.
And so thank you so much, for allowing me, the space to discuss about what this is. And usually the question that I got is, hang on, how come sophrology is so well known? So in France, in Switzerland, in UK, Belgium, in Spain, it's even reimbursed by some insurances, in Europe. We don't really get to know about it in other parts of the world. Okay. And it's been around for 60 years. And I think that's because a lot of the schools, the best schools, they are in France and they are in Spain. So sophrology is being taught in French and in Spanish, not in English. It's extremely rare that you can learn sophrology in English.
Oh, amazing.
Yes. Okay. And so the linguistic ability to drive, to guide, to design sessions in English, that is something that extremely few sophrologists have today. And this is one of the reasons why you would find a lot of sophrologists, 10,000 sophrologists in France, offering sessions in French, and very, very rarely sophrologists offering sessions in English.
Oh,
yes.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
For me, it was very interesting because once we started talking to each other, I understood that, even I was not aware that what sophrology is. And once we started talking, then when I came to know about the techniques and it is really effective, I wanted you to be in this podcast so that, everyone comes to know about this, especially because we see a lot of patients every day trying, explaining, because we are like family doctor, right? So we are there for each step. Whenever they are sick, whenever they are all right, we are always there. So we are quite aware of their emotional balance. Why do women today feel constantly overwhelmed, even when everything else looks fine from outside,
Well, yeah, I think every one of us, we are, the way I see it is we are carrying, that backpack with so many responsibilities, inside. And even though we carry it well, it doesn't mean that it's not heavy. So we all have those backpacks, if we are women or if we are men, by the way, I think. And one of the reasons why the backpack is filling much more quicker than ever, I think this is called to something, this is related to something that I don't really know why we don't really discuss about it so much, but it's called cognitive densification. What does it mean? It means that today with technology, we are constantly being solicited. Our mind, our brain is solicited. We're always back to back. We have all those apps, multitasking, and there's so much data that is coming to our brain. There's this expectation that we need to be everywhere, every time, with everyone, with work, with the kids, with the school, with in every aspect of our lives. And we tend to have back-to-back tasks without giving the brain a pause and a reset. And this is draining. This is draining because our brain, when you compare the brain with the pace of technology, there's kind of a gap, a growing gap between the two. We need to accept that. And this is paving the road to burnout because if you have to answer all the calls, all the notifications, be there for all the meetings, and kind of combine everything, in your life, this is really draining. So here, what is interesting is in sophrology, how do we prevent burnout? It's by allowing people to create those pauses, to reset the brain a few times per day. So then it gives the brain the ability to recharge, even if that's just for a bit. But gradually, you would feel how much pause you need depending on the time of the day. So in a way, you can look at that from that angle. It's like having a dashboard on the inside. You have your physical energy, you have your emotional energy, and then you have your mental energy. And just like an iPhone, you would have, so if you close your eyes, or we don't need to do it here, but I'm a sophrologist, I do that every day. So if I close my eyes, or if you close your eyes, and everyone listening to, the podcast right now, if you close your eyes just for a few seconds and you have those three metrics in front of you, right? Physical energy, emotional energy, and mental energy. What would be your charging level? 4%, 15%, 98%? And this is kind of the first step. This is self-awareness in sophrology. This is to know where you are. If you don't have that awareness of where you are, after a while, this can lead to burnout straight.
Got it. Yeah.
And if you take the time to really pause, to do your self-assessment in just a few seconds, you might realize that, okay, there might be plans and schedules and meetings and a lot of things that need to get done in the day. But sometimes you would need to prioritize. You would need to make choices to avoid the wall.
Understood.
That is called burnout.
Yeah.
So this is not only about relaxation, taking time for ourselves, like in luxury, and I want to take some time for myself and feel great and kind of a nice to have, moment. What I see every day at the practice, this is really about health, physical health, mental health, and how you can make sure that you can get through the day, that you can get through the week, that you can get through the month and the year. This is really a matter of, in a way, I don't know if you would agree, but that's emotional survival.
Yeah. It's all about
Really?
teaching, right? Teaching how to learn, teaching how to overcome all these stress factors.
Yes, because there's two ways. When you look at stress is created by your environment. So option number one, you change something in your environment. You resign, you switch jobs, you change countries, you make a change in your life, and then your stress baseline can get impacted, right? But for a lot of people, they don't have that option to change something in their life, or they don't want to. There's a lot of people, they are very, very stressed out, but they love their job. They're very passionate about their job. They have 3 kids, 2 kids, 4 kids. This is draining. They are married. They have the in-laws. They have their friends.
Yeah.
This is a lot of solicitations, but in a way, they are happy, with their lives.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to change that, if you want to keep your life as it is, then self-regulation is the only option.
Right. Understood.
Through sophrology or through other techniques, right?
Understood.
But self-regulation is absolutely central if you want to regulate your stress and recharge.
Understood. How does sophrology helps women during their hormonal changes like PMS, menopause, fertility issues? Is there any technique or anything which you would like to tell us?
Yes, That's a very interesting angle. The way I see it is that, in all of the situations that you've mentioned, stress is really a factor that's going to amplify all the symptoms, right? Yeah. So your ability to regulate your stress and to release tensions, as well as falling asleep, for instance, having better sleep quality. This is so important because if you rest well, then you would be more equipped, to face the health challenges that are in your lives, right now.
Understood. Yeah, got it. So you mean that when you calm down yourself, the symptoms can be managed easily, right?
When we practice sophrology, we are regulating the nervous system.
Okay.
Then there's an impact on the brain, there's an impact on the hormones. We are regulating the cortisol. We are helping the immune system as well to function more properly. So this is where sophrology fits in. It really does help rebalance hormonal homeostasis in the body.
Can sophrology help us sleep better, and how?
Yes. So as a sophrologist, many times I would say sleep is the result of your day, right? So if you want to have better sleep, what would be very efficient is for you to take even like 3 minutes, 3 minutes, and 3 minutes, 3 times a day to release the tensions. So then when it's the end of the day, your mental overload is kind of a little bit easier. So this is the tip number 1. Tip number 2, before you go to bed, most of the time you would have accumulated tensions throughout the body. So if you're a bit, like this, and if you go to sleep, you're going to sleep with, a tensed body. Obviously, then when you sleep, it's going to loosen up. But something else that you can do to help the quality of your sleep is to practice perhaps for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, to release all the tensions in the body. So this is from the physical aspect, right? There is something else as well that is so important. When we go to sleep, then we're going to have all those thoughts running in our mind. Here in Sophrology, I do build alternative thoughts for the person and alternative practices. So if you choose to practice sophrology, basically your mind is like a brain hack. Your mind is going to be completely into the practice, and then it will stop other thoughts, usually anxious thoughts, to kick in, bring you into a spiraling, snowball that can last for quite some time. So if you already know the techniques, you go into your bed and straight away you choose, okay, I'm going to practice, and this puts you in a very good mental state to fall asleep. Okay,
great.
And there's many techniques. There's probably 10, 20 that we can do to fall asleep more easily. But this is just like 2 or 3 techniques to give you a bit of an idea of the type of techniques that we can use.
Understood. Since May is Mental Health Awareness Month, could you show us one breathing technique for our viewers or listeners to practice right now?
Okay. I have an idea. Okay. Is it okay for you to participate with me?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. And since you've just mentioned awareness, I think this is one of the techniques that is very helpful whenever you want to shift emotional states.
Understood.
Okay?
Yeah.
When you want to shift emotional states, basically, is there an emotional state that is dragging you down right now? And with which emotional state would you want to replace it? So let's say here you might feel stressed, you might feel tired, you might be lacking self-confidence, for instance, or you might just feel very tensed. Is there anything that right now in this moment you would like to let go of? Is there anything that comes to your mind? And you can take the time. And this is so important. This is where self-awareness kicks in. It's when we take a few seconds to check on the inside. Actually, is there anything right now in this moment that is dragging me down? The answer doesn't come straight away. It's not yet in our consciousness. We need to pause. We need to think. Right?
Yeah. Actually, I don't feel anything.
Yeah, well, because we're enjoying the moment. Because we're enjoying the moment. Okay, let's say you are in your car. It is 7 p.m. You've had a very long day. you need to do a lot of follow-ups for your patients, but then your kids are waiting for you.
Yeah.
And then you are on your parking lot, you're stopping the car, and you know that you have to do the homework with the kids, you have to be there for your kids. Usually, how do you feel at this point in time?
I don't know. I feel like I am overwhelmed and I don't know how to manage.
Okay.
I just want to sleep, maybe.
And this is all of us.
Maybe I just want to sit on the couch and just watch movie. That's the best feeling, I guess.
Okay. So you would feel overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
The emotional state that is dragging you down, let's say, that would be a sense of being overwhelmed. And you would like to replace it with, so you were saying, okay, being on the couch and watching Netflix, that could be a sense of calm or balance or quietness.
Yes.
Which one would you pick?
Quietness.
Quietness?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with overwhelm and quietness.
Okay.
The first step, and for everyone listening to this, you can choose your own words. Pick just 2 words, okay? Just to try. So here with overwhelm, the first part of the breathing, we're just gonna do it for 30 seconds. Basically, you're gonna feel just like if overwhelm was all around in your body. You don't really need to analyze or to understand too much, but you could just feel, okay, I'm gonna breathe in, I'm gonna take all the overwhelm, and then when I breathe out, I'm gonna release it from my system, from my body, from my brain, from any part of me, okay? Breathing it, I'm catching, and then I'm gonna guide you. Breathing it, we catch the overwhelm. Breathing out, we choose to release part of the overwhelm, okay?
Okay.
As a second step, you're gonna see, what was the word again? Sorry, there was overwhelm and there was...
Quietness. Yes.
Exactly, quietness. I'm gonna ask you to see the word quietness written in front of you, and then every time you inhale, you just allow quietness to come in, and when you exhale, you're gonna let it diffuse all throughout the body. That's okay?
Yeah.
So that's one of the simple techniques that we can start with. This is called the emotional shift. Usually in a session, we would practice for 30 minutes. But here, let's try the very express way. Okay?
Okay.
Let's see?
Okay.
All right. So you can take a comfortable position. You can close your eyes, and then you can just shift the focus inwards. And you can have your eyes closed. You can have your eyes open. That is perfectly fine. Okay?
Okay.
Just for a few seconds, you become aware of the overwhelm in your body. Just for a few seconds, you shift the focus inwards. And when it's the right moment for you, you can take a deep inhale through the nose. And when you exhale, you're just releasing anything that's been overwhelming for you during the day and accumulated. Okay. Second time, take a deep breath in, catching all the accumulated tensions. And when you exhale, you release the tensions from the top of your head, shoulders, arms, the legs, the feet. And then the third time, you're catching all the tensions that have been overwhelming for you. And when you exhale, you can even visualize the overwhelm being taken away from your system. Now you come back to a normal breathing. You keep your eyes closed, still focused on the inside, and you can see the word quietness being written in front of you. You just observe the word for a few seconds. Quietness is here within reach. And you can take the decision to make some space in that very moment to welcome a bit of quietness, even for just a few seconds. When it's the right moment for you, you're gonna inhale through the nose. Take as much quietness as you need, and when you exhale, you let it diffuse and feed all the parts of your body that needs it in this moment. And you do it at your own pace. Second time, drawing in as much quietness as you need. And when you exhale, Let it infuse in the head, the shoulders, the arms, the belly, down, up to the toes. And the third time, at your own pace. Taking all the quietness inside that you need because you know what's right for you in this moment. And then you just let quietness settle in your whole being for a few seconds to enjoy and observe how quiet you can be in this very moment. And when it's the right moment for you, you can open your eyes and share if you want to share something with us.
I don't have words to explain it to you, but then it's a great feeling. It's really very good. The feeling is amazing.
And I'm so happy that we got to experience this for the first time, actually, you and me together, because so many times in sophrology, I am here to put sophrology into words, but sophrology has to be experienced and felt. And you know those moments in life where we can't find the words to explain what is happening? I think this is so precious.
Yes.
This is where the discovery happens.
Absolutely. I think in this, especially because the lifestyle has changed a lot. Like it's not that our parents are nearby, our friends are nearby. It's not always the same, right? Especially in Dubai, when I see and go to the patients, they're always alone. They're living alone and their family and friends and everyone far away. And then sometimes when I go consult a patient, they used to hug and cry, when they're not feeling great and, emotionally not feeling well. So I would really, introduce this technique to our patients, our viewers. Just to practice and know about it.
Yeah, and this is something that you can give them.
Yeah.
So every time there's a nurse coming or a doctor coming or a psychologist or a psychiatric, a psychiatrist, here to support, this is absolutely essential. This is so great. But then when the practitioner leaves, the person is on his own or on her own.
Yeah.
All throughout the day sometimes. When we're in our bed in the evening, in the middle of the night, or when we're having difficult moments, challenging moments, we are on our own.
Right.
And this is where sophrology teaches you techniques that you can use in the heat of the moment, when you have a panic attack, when you have heightened anxiety, when you can't breathe. When you snap at people, when you're getting so frustrated, when you have those mood swings, when you can't sleep at night. For all those moments, you can shift from automatic mode to kind of 4x4. You can decide, I want to be more in control.
Yeah.
And then you can practice the techniques and you can self-regulate. And this is so empowering.
Yeah.
Because you know exactly how the techniques work. You do it for yourself and you observe straight away the impact.
Understood.
The positive impact.
Yeah.
And this is very empowering. And in sophrology, sometimes from session 1, 2, 3, there's already very big shifts in people's lives or in people's mindset, because they do realize, oh, that is so funny. Because what you told me, I did it. And actually, this is the first time that this happened. This is something I hear almost every week, actually.
Yeah.
So then for every person, the shift is going to be different.
Yeah.
But every person is initiating their own shift in their own lives.
Yeah.
And so this brings a sense of hope. A lot of people, they're telling me, I feel so hopeful for the first time. Or I felt I did it.
Yeah.
I actually did it, or it worked. It was crazy, it worked. And all of those feedbacks. And this is pretty quick.
Yeah.
Usually it's in 4, 5, 6 sessions where you have so many techniques that you can combine them in a way where you kind of feel what is really clicking for you. But sometimes from every session, I try to give 4 to 5 techniques for each session. So if you do 2, 3, 4 sessions, you're going to have 10, 15, 20 techniques.
Understood.
Okay?
Okay.
This is how sophrology works.
Amazing. Let's bust a myth. what is one of the biggest misunderstandings that people have about sophrology?
Oh, so I think perhaps my number one would be sophrology is relaxation.
Okay.
This is like relaxation is here, but then the rest, it's really about building mental strength and resilience and empowerment and self-confidence. This is what it's all about.
Understood. What would you say to somebody who says that I'm so busy to do breath work or meditate?
If you have time to scroll down, you have time to do sophrology.
Absolutely
okay?
Right.
Because if you learn the techniques, then you need probably 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes to practice and to regulate your nervous system or to bring back your focus and your executive functions, right? So it only takes a few minutes.
I do have a lot of patients, Cathy, that who keeps asking and telling me that I feel foggy.
Yes.
Yeah. What would you say for that?
So when we're stressed out, we can be, in fight, flight, or freeze mode, and it does impact. Basically, that means that when we have very strong emotions, we tend to lose some of our executive functions. So that means that all of a sudden we lose our trail of thoughts and we don't really know what to say. It becomes difficult to prioritize, to analyze, to think clearly with discernment. This is absolutely normal. It doesn't have anything to do with your ability to perform. It has to do with the physiological response to stress and to strong emotions.
Understood.
So basically, this is absolutely normal. If you are stressed out, then
brain focus.
you're gonna have the brain fog. So this is where, if you regulate your stress, you would have the ability, and then you would feel it, the ability to reconnect with your executive functions. And I'm just gonna show you something, right? This is one very simple movement that you can do. Sometimes I'm talking with clients, for instance, and then I have, we're going to practice 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm like, let's start. And then I lose the trail of thoughts, for instance, or can happen anytime, anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Or if you feel overwhelmed, for instance, there is one simple practice. It's this one. I just breathe in through the nose and I breathe out. And I'm gonna push here and I'm really gonna focus on the point of contact between my finger and my forehead. And when I push here, basically, this is kind of a hack.
Understood.
Where you focus on a bodily sensation. There is proprioception, so you are moving the body and you are breathing in a way that's gonna calm your system. And this is gonna make you feel much more grounded. Okay, so this is not something that you would do like if you're facing your client or your manager, during the end of the year appraisals. But first you can practice at home, for instance, and then when you're in the middle of a conversation with your manager, let's say for the year-end appraisal, you can just do, or you can press on your knee and you can just take a deep breath saying, I'm just gonna have a glass of water, and then you breathe and you can press, on the glass, for instance. And this is a way to self-regulate just in a few seconds, and you're gonna feel that you're going to be grounded.
Understood.
And then it's so much easier to go back into the conversation. This is what Djokovic and other tennis players are doing, by the way, and athletes as well. Right? When you lose a point and you become crazy on the inside, Djokovic was saying, I'm not better than the other players, but I'm better at bouncing back into the moment. I'm better at just refocusing. In just a few milliseconds. And this is that edge that makes me better. And this is what we do in Sophrology as well.
And I really feel, Cathy, I don't know if I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I just feel that these techniques are amazing, right? It's just like functional medicine. It's been since very, very long years, and the other doctors didn't let it come out. Now, and I feel sophrology is also the same, because once the sophrologists are in full-fledged, active and doing all the sessions and everything, right? Then there'll be no patients for the psychiatrist and the psychologist. Am I right?
I wish. the way I see it is more like multidisciplinary, right?
Yeah.
If we all work together,
Yeah.
that is
That's
is
the thing,
the best, right?
Like we functional medicine specialists are never saying that the endocrinologist or gynecologist are not doing right. We say they're doing right, but there's few things which you have to change, like lifestyle modifications, your diet, your nutrition, your exercise.
This is essential.
Yeah. So, but then the other doctors are not really ready to accept that, because they think that once they practice all these methods, then the number of patients will be less for these departments.
Perhaps this is part of the reality, but I'm not really sure that they have been, because they are so specialized, they might not have the time, to look at everything else.
Other things, yeah.
So this is the difference as well between like seeing a specialist and, trying alternative expertise, as well.
Can you share me one client story where Sophrology has created a transformation?
So here, there's so many client stories.
Yeah, I heard from you a lot of stories, but I want the viewers also to hear.
Yes, I need to pick one.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick one from this week. I would have seriously, I think 4 from last week, actually. I'm going to pick one that was especially touching for me. That was session 4 with a lady. She's probably 35. And she always had those very big anxiety attacks where she can't breathe. She feels completely overwhelmed and lost, and a lot of crying and oppression in the chest. And this is extremely painful for her to go through those episodes. And those episodes are a few times per week. Okay. We've done 4 sessions together. And so at the 5th session, when I logged in with her, because those are online sessions, by the way, we've never met, only online. And she told me, actually, I went on a weekend. I'm not driving because I can't drive. I have to heighten anxiety. She was like, I was sitting next to the person who was driving, and I start feeling that I was going to have another panic attack because the drive was very long for a few hours. And it's just like, this is what I did. I focused on my breathing, and then I called my bubble around me, and then I was touching my legs, and I was kind of holding me, and then I was visualizing something. And by the way, so here she was mentioning 4 or 5 techniques that we would have learned together during the previous sessions, and she had combined them. And she told me, it's the first time that I've been able to bring the panic down, to be stronger than the attack. And I felt okay. Even me, I was like, this is making me emotional as well, because this is changing people's lives just after 4 sessions. She was able to really integrate and to practice in the car with someone she had never met before.
Understood.
Right? But there's hundreds of stories like that. But
it's very heart-touching, honestly.
Since you asked me one, this is the one for today.
It's amazing, actually. This kind of changes that you can bring in people, right? It's with a very simple and very 2-3 minutes exercise.
Yes, so it can be 2-3 minutes, and for this one, I think if you have major episodes, probably you would have to practice. There's the tipping point, and you feel that you're going to reach the tipping point, and you would have to practice probably for 5, 10, 15 minutes before you can bring it down.
Understood.
Okay, so the practice can be sometimes a bit longer. Yeah, but you would know. Yeah. Right? When you have the techniques, you know exactly the sensations, the feelings, and you know how to practice, and you explore, and you see what is happening. So it's very nice as well, because you discover what is happening inside of yourself, in your mind, in your lungs, in your heartbeat, in your hands. You kind of observe and you're like, oh, actually, this is what is happening. So this is pretty cool because it's distancing yourself from the challenging moment and from the challenging sensations as well, right?
Yeah.
So there's multiple impacts when you practice sophrology. And so, yes, regulating the nervous system, bringing the stress down, being more self-aware, but as well the fact that you have something to do in those situations.
Understood.
Already, psychologically speaking, you are distancing yourself from the trigger and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
And so this is less triggering as well.
Understood.
Right?
Yeah. Cathy, you're blessed with a kind of power that you have within yourself. Because whoever will sit with you are already feeling relaxed. I'm good for the day. I'm good for the day today.
I'm good for
we can meet every day like this.
I'm going to record a quick audio for you so then
I can give you
in the parking every evening you can just listen to my voice. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Honestly. It was so lovely. And I'm so
it's like
happy.
I'm actually relaxed, honestly, because the kind of things what you told about is all like, I can do it. I'm all right.
You can do it. You can do it. Your kids can do it. Teenagers can do it. If you're 75 years old, you can do it. Anyone can do it.
Great. Let's do a rapid fire wellness. Yeah?
Okay.
Something very interesting.
I like it when I'm put on the spot. My clients, they put me on the spot almost every day. So that's kind of the little games that I love. I don't know what this is all about. Go ahead. Let's see. Let's be adventurous.
Yeah. I say a word and you say the first sophrology tool that comes into your mind.
Okay.
Stress.
But I should avoid because the way we speak as sophrologists, this is so technical.
Yeah.
So I will need to, stress?
Stress.
Well, breathing.
Yeah. Sleep.
Thoughts reframing. Anger?
Yeah.
Smashing something. So like physical impulse.
Love.
Oh, there's a technique that I really do like. It's self-hugging, perhaps.
We never do it.
We never do it, right?
Yeah, honestly.
And this is beautiful to allow ourselves, to just feel our own love.
That's great. Focus.
Oh, the bubble. There's one technique where you put the bubble around you. This is so efficient for clarity. Yes.
Chaos.
Oh, there's one. Okay, I'm thinking now. You can breathe in and then you imagine then there's a desk. That is a lot of things piling up and then you just
cleaning it up.
Yeah, clean the desk, clean the chaos and start afresh. Quick reset. Kids?
Yeah.
How long do we have? How many hours do we have for the kids? No, the best friend is you take the door, you close the door, the lock of the door. Yeah, this is your best friend, right? Nothing to do with sophrology, but the lock of the door. You're like, okay, I'm going to take a few minutes for myself. Click. Like, I'm safe. Nothing can happen to me. I'm in my bedroom and this is the best feeling ever.
Right. That's it. Cathy, can you tell me who are the people who can get most benefited by the sophrology?
Anyone from CEOs, men, women, teenagers, kids, from 7 years old to 77 to 107 years old. Basically, if you are experiencing major stress or chronic stress or very strong emotions, you can practice sophrology. But this is really for anyone.
Understood.
Anyone.
Yeah. Thank you.